Gig economy workers say they can no longer survive. Whether in Paris, Kuala Lumpur, or California, gig economy workers fear they can no longer survive on meager earnings from jobs that leave them increasingly vulnerable. Now, increasingly vulnerable, Uber, Lyft, those companies have done so little about safety for drivers and riders. That's where they feel vulnerable as well, right? Where drivers or deliverers feel the most vulnerable is that because of the pandemic, instead of supporting the drivers, paying essential pay, they're cutting back, and it's hurting the drivers. So earnings are going back and backwards, and it's come to a point where many just can't cut it because they can't survive on peanuts, right? The term gig stretches back to a century, to jazz musicians who used to refer to one-off show, but now the gig economy involves millions of people in all sorts of jobs, from Uber drivers to delivery teams. Algorithm slaves. They say Wissam does more than 700 kilometers, 450 miles a week on his scooter, delivering up to 10 takeout meals in the Paris suburb every evening. At the moment, with the lockdown, I end up with 500 euros, $600 a month net. That is pathetic. It's $150 per week net, said the 32-year-old who has driven for Deliveroo since 2017, but also takes job for Uber Eats and Stewart. Inal has trouble seeing the good side of his job at the moment and criticizes calculations by Deliveroo's algorithm that decide how much to offer him for jobs. A delivery that's worth €6 at noon is worth just €3 in the evening. You can't earn a living with this job unless you're willing to live like a slave. And we've heard that term slave over and over again. When people say, you know what, I feel like they're treating me like a slave. And this is the problem with these CEOs and gig companies. To pay for their supersonic salaries, like Dara Khosrowshahi's $42 million salary, they start treating the drivers like slaves. He recently joined an association of gig delivery drivers that seeks to improve working conditions. We should be able to defend ourselves, he maintains, flexibility or on demand. When Erica Megiddo began driving with Lyft 3 years ago, she said, I just loved it. Her grown son had left the house and she thought it would be a great move until she found a job in bookkeeping or property management. I really enjoyed, choosing my hours. I thought life was good. Megiddo lived in Sacramento, but would drive more than an hour to the San Francisco area on weekends because there was more work in the richer towns. She slept in her car or shelled out $25 for a room. Megiddo was pulling in $60 to $80 an hour before expenses in 2017, but a series of rate cuts caused that to fall to $20 at the beginning of the year and to less than $10 in March. Look at that. She said at one point, $60 to $80, good old days, then to $20, now down to $10. She finds the algorithms opaque and pernicious. So it knows me personally, said Megiddo, and the bonus offers were changed, based on what I was willing to accept. If friends were getting bonus offers of $50 for doing 20 rides per week, the algorithm would offer her $350, but for 120 rides a week. So $350 for 120 rides a week basically means we want you to slave away if you want to hit that target. To get enough jobs and claim the bonus, drivers would accept lower fees. You're in this vicious cycle black hole. I call it the hamster wheel. She does not buy the argument that gig work is flexible. I personally call it on-demand work. There's no flexibility. You have to work when there's demand. You're going to work late nights, long weekends, and every single holiday. In the spring, she gave up driving for fear of catching COVID, but had to fight for unemployment benefits of $450 per week instead of $167 to paid gig workers. She received a $600 per week supplement federal benefit that the U.S. introduced as part of its COVID-19 stimulus measures, but it ran out after 4 months. Megiddo is bitter about California referendum backed by Uber to overturn a state law that would have forced gig firms to recognize the drivers as employees and pay their minimum wages and benefits. California voters approved the measure with 58% of the vote. That is true. We shouldn't be stripping workers of basic labor protection so people can get cheap rides, she said. Now, the next one, juggle the platforms. 27-year-old Devin delivers for DoorDash, which just took in almost $3.4 billion in its stock market debut. His smartphone offers him a job, $5.50 for a 4.6-mile delivery in 30 minutes. That's the equivalent of $11 an hour. That's too little. My personal minimum is $18 an hour. I often make more than that because I have a strategy. Part of it is to be selective and focus on Western Los Angeles and the beach towns of Marina del Rey and Santa Monica. Couldn't agree more. But mostly it consists of playing different platforms off against each other. Gudekunst's job, that's his last name, acceptance rate for DoorDash was 12% that day, but he said it can often be just 2%. To make decent money, you really have to juggle to play with all the offers to make your living. $27 for 14-hour shift in Malaysia. Amal, 24, keeps his eye glued to his cell phone and the Grab delivery app, popular in Southeast Asia, is one of many Malaysians who makes a living delivering food, medication, and shopping by motorcycle in Petaling Jaya, an affluent suburb of Kuala Lumpur. Before COVID-19 hit, he was a driver for Grab in Johor, southern Malaysia. I could easily make a comfortable living, but after the virus outbreak, life became tough as many people lost their jobs and my income was reduced, Amal told AFP as he waited outside a department store for his 9th order of the day. Given the bleak prospects in Johor, he headed to the capital. There were no job opportunities in my hometown as I lack academic qualifications. Amal earns more than $700 a month if he puts in long hours. That day he reached his daily average of $27 after a grueling 14 hours. Look around. There are so many of us doing delivery, it's getting tough. Amal would prefer a steady job but does not completely regret the path he has chosen. What motivates me is I am the boss. I can manage my time and most importantly, no one scolds me, he laughs. That's cool. So, cool but not cool, right? Now, huge shout out to my sponsor, Cover, K-O-V-E-R. Get it if you are a gig worker starting at $7 a month. You get 24/7 health service, legal protection, automatic mileage tracking, paid time off, sick leave. The legal protection, folks, is amazing. So if you are an active driver and for some reason you get deactivated down the line, a LegalRideshare, their legal arm kicks in, sends out the letters, and gets you back behind the wheel. Now, if you're currently deactivated, it doesn't pay off going through COVA because the legal arm will not take place if you just sign up as a deactivated driver. You want to go directly to LegalRideshare. They have a service for $24.99 where they send out the legal letters to Uber, to Lyft, to DoorDash, whoever it may be, and get you back. What also makes LegalRideshare so unique, they are the nationwide law firm that specializes in injuries. So if you've been injured on the job, on a gig job, if your riders have been injured, make sure you contact LegalRideshare because they will handle the entire claims process, insurance claims process for you. Now, with COVA, you get 1 month free if you sign up under the Rideshare Professor. That's my link right underneath the video. I wish you a great day. And if you have a story similar to the ones that I've read to you, whether it's Paris, Kuala Lumpur, or California, do share, right? Do share your story, how you can just no longer survive on this poor gig pay. Have a great day. And if need be, maybe set up plan B, plan C, maybe join Amazon Flex. Find jobs that treat you well and pay you well. Take care.